Why do hardworking employees get ignored? Why do politics decide your worth? Let's talk about it. Welcome to Bad Influencer. Hit subscribe.
Look at the morning commute at any major tech park in Bengaluru, Hyderabad, or Gurugram. The sheer scale is staggering. Millions of professionals drive an engine of startups, IT conglomerates, and financial institutions. But inside those glass buildings, the data tells a story of friction. Employee complaint boards are flooded. Severe burnout is standard, and quiet quitting is rising. We usually diagnose this crisis by talking about Indian corporate culture as a single unified machine. That approach fails because that monolith does not exist. The corporate structure consists of three separate conflicting tribes: the employee, the manager, and human resources. When a single workplace event occurs, it refracts, interpreted in three completely different ways, depending on your side of the glass. Fixing high turnover requires us to map out the competing, isolated realities of these three warring tribes. We start on the ground floor. In high attrition sectors like business process outsourcing and frontline sales, the pressure is immediate. Daily targets dictate survival, and missing quotas often leads to public reprimands on the sales floor. This environment is reinforced by the Sir Madam culture. In this rigid hierarchy, junior staff are expected to show absolute deference. Compliance is rewarded, while asking questions or suggesting innovative workarounds is viewed as insubordination. This chart tracks the impact of removing work-life boundaries. As the line-plotting unpaid overtime and after-hours messaging moves to the right, we see a steep, vertical spike in employee attrition. Continuous availability directly degrades mental health and hollows out long-term retention. For the entry-level employee, the focus often shifts from career growth to the daily mechanics of surviving the shift. When you hear those employee stories, it is easy to assume middle managers are naturally malicious. But in hyper-growth startups and high-stakes finance, a different structural reality emerges for the manager. In this hierarchy diagram, middle managers are physically trapped. The top blocks represent investors pushing demands downward. Because companies rarely invest in leadership training, managers lack tools to process this top-down stress. The middle layer cracks, and pressure bleeds onto the employees below. Systemic stress rolls downhill. What looks like a toxic manager is often an undertrained individual failing under an impossible structural load. Middle managers are rarely the architects of the culture. They are failing shock absorbers in a vehicle moving too fast. This brings us to human resources. The prevailing myth is that HR exists solely to organize seasonal competitions or order pizza to distract from low bonuses. The reality inside massive organizations like IT conglomerates and hospital networks is administrative. HR departments are constantly managing payroll for tens of thousands of people and navigating complex labor compliance laws. This flowchart reveals their true constraint. The HR node is disconnected from the central executive decision-making loop. Lacking power to alter budgets, they flash warning signals about burnout that the executive routing above them completely ignores. HR serves as a corporate scapegoat. Employees blame them for a hostile daily culture, while executives deny them the authority required to fix it. Mapping out these three perspectives is the baseline for a solution. High turnover can be corrected through deliberate structural alignment across the organization. For startups, the fix involves moving away from the glorification of hustle. Founders need to implement scaling metrics that project growth based on realistic market data, rather than relying on the infinite bandwidth of their junior staff. In IT and healthcare, executives have to pull human resources out of administrative isolation. To stop the loss of talent, HR must be granted policy-making authority, allowing them to veto operations that damage retention. High-pressure sectors like finance and sales must reallocate capital. Instead of judging managers solely on execution, companies need to fund leadership training to teach those managers how to handle top-down stress without passing it to the floor. As we see in this graphic, the corporate ecosystem has to replace the top-down stone pyramid of rigid hierarchy with an interconnected network matrix. Information and respect must flow in multiple directions. When these three realities remain isolated, the system leaks talent and capital. Closing those gaps is a prerequisite for scaling successfully and maintaining a competitive workforce.